go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the bridge, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello, welcome to You've Seen It Before, Movie Reviews Connections in Mind. Joker Folie Deux is the sequel to the box office smash 2019 film Joker. It is once again directed by Todd Phillips and once again follows the story of Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, aka Joker, which after the events of the previous film finds himself under psychiatric care in prison, awaiting his trial for multiple murders. And we also see his burgeoning relationship with Harley Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn. And they go on a whirlwind adventure of their own making and possibly in their own minds during this whole trial as they navigate what the relationship means both for each other and for the world at large. Now, this review will contain spoilers of Joker Folie Deux, as well as certain other things. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, though, but just so you know, there will be some spoilers later on in this review. So, first things first, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Joker Folie Deux. Is this a worthy sequel to the original? Is this a good Joker film? Is this a good DC film? First off, I will say, if you are a hardcore DC fan and you're expecting this film to play into all of the major tropes of Joker and Harley Quinn lore and all that stuff and play out exactly as you think it's going to be, you're probably going to be disappointed because this is very much its own thing. And also, if you're not a big fan of musicals, then you're also going to be a bit weirded out because, yes, this is a musical. But it's also not really a traditional musical either. So what I mean by that is there's some interesting things around the musical elements of these things. For example, the fact that Lady Gaga is, she is a well-renowned singer in outside of movies, but both her singing and Joaquin Phoenix's singing, especially in the beginning of the movie, is not great. They have kind of, I always call it like smoker's voice or whatever, because Arthur, he's as a character, man, he is pounded down the Marlboros or whatever. But their singing does improve as both the movie goes on and their relationship progresses. And, I'm pretty sure that was done deliberately. And it's very interesting to see how that progression and how it proceeds. There is an arc to that, to the music itself, but also where I think this is sort of a non-traditional musical, that's why I'm not sure it's 100% works, is the fact that if you take a traditional musical, something, for example, West Side Story, where a musical, song starts and all the characters in a particular scene, they acknowledge that music's going on and the music is allowing a character to express emotions in a way beyond words, but also in a way that is outside of the story, outside of reality. Because once the music stops and the song ends, then the quote-unquote reality steps back in, and we're back to what's going on in the story, and it's as if that musical song seems to have happened. Now, that sometimes happens in this movie, and it's clear that, these certain song sequences are, a fantasy inside Joker's mind, but there are other sequences where it seems like all the characters out in quote-unquote reality are aware of Joker and Harley singing and dancing, and, they kind of just shrug it off as, oh man, these people are crazy, and so they're doing crazy things, but it's like, no, that's supposed to be them communicating with their feelings for one another in a way that is supposed to be outside reality, but it is reality, sort of. Like, it doesn't necessarily work, in my opinion, as far as musicals go, but it is interesting. And I also think that this movie also does an interesting dive into the effects, the relationship between a persona and the others around them. And when persona doesn't necessarily match the person, there's discussion of whether Joker is the split personality from Arthur Fleck. Is Arthur Fleck actually Joker? Is the Joker, really at the head of this movement? Is he supposed to act in the way that, his minions, his followers on the outside kind of do it? Do they like him for the quote unquote right reasons? There's some interesting relationship being played out there, but I don't think it goes far enough. And I mean that because while it's not quite as bad as something like Matrix Resurrections, this feels like a movie where the original movie made so much money that, the studio's like, all right, we have to make a sequel to this. We have to make a sequel, even though I believe the director, Todd Phillips, he pretty much said that he said everything that he wanted to say or was going to say in that original movie. And I try to avoid all of the other reviews of a movie before I go into a new movie, so I want to be as fresh as possible. But it's inevitable that you're gonna be exposed to some things. One word that stuck out to me in a lot of reviews that I heard about was that this movie feels like an epilogue to the original Joker. And I watched the original Joker right before I went in to see the new one, and yeah, I have to agree. This does feel like, this movie is, in the courtroom, they're rehashing the events of the first Joker, and it really does feel like, we're not really adding anything to our understanding of those events. We're not exploring new territory with those things. We're just kind of rehashing them, and it does feel like an epilogue. And, this is, it feels like this movie didn't need, a lot of movie sequels don't need to exist, but this one in particular, it feels like, and again, along with the musical elements of things, it felt like, Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips were like, the studio's pretty much making us make this movie. Screw it, let's go nuts with this. And that's pretty much what they did. And bravo to them for, taking a big swing, but does it connect? You'll have to be the judge of that. For me personally, I don't really think it connected because I don't think it really knew where it was aiming, what it was aiming for, or what its ultimate purpose was. It just felt like, and also as far as DC things go, it also felt like a bit of a bait and switch. And you can blame this on the marketing where, they're really hyping up, oh man, you're going to see Joker, you're going to see Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, it's going to be epic, but no, not really. I mean, yes, you see in the trailer that, Lady Gaga does put on, her version of Harley's makeup, and, she's got the red outfit, and she kind of looks the part of Harley Quinn. She looks good, but, I mean, that's literally one scene. That is one scene with her in the entire movie where she looks like that. So, bear that in mind as you go into this movie. If you're looking for that, kind of comic book look to it, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So, overall, it's an interesting movie. I would say it's an interesting mess. So, if I was going to give Joker Folie a Deux a letter grade, I would say this is a C-. After I'd seen the movie, I went back and looked at a couple other people's reviews, and I saw them just absolutely demolishing this movie. And I don't think it deserves that kind of treatment, but it is an odd duck. But, for context, I hadn't rewatched the original Joker. I rewatched it right before I saw this new one. But that was the first time I rewatched it since it came out in theaters, which was 5 years ago now. And I'd forgotten pretty much a lot of that movie. And I don't really feel like I missed anything, after I rewatched that movie. And I don't really feel like I missed anything now that I've seen this new movie. So take that for what it's worth. So those are my main spoiler-free talk on Joker Folie Deux. Now let's get into a spoiler discussion as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. I don't have much in this segment, but I do. I kind of wanted to talk about. As I was walking out of the theater, I wanted something struck me, and it's this thought of this movie feels very disjointed. You've got a fairly unreliable narrator when it comes to the perspective of Arthur Fleck, the disturbed character. You're not sure what's fantasy, what's reality sometimes with this, and Harley is also a disturbed character, even though what's fantasy reality with her as well. And the editing of the way things are presented is kind of disjointed. And why do I feel like this movie doesn't work with that sort of setup when I think another movie that also features Harley Quinn, but also has a disjointed narrative and unreliable narrator and this kind of manic editing style, why I think it works a lot better, and for context would be Birds of Prey, The Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Why do I think that movie works better, at least for me, I think works better as a whole than this new Joker movie? And for me, the best answer I could come up with is, there's a fun energy to that manicness, lightheartedness. And while I can't say that you can't have a disjointed movie where the ending is a bummer, the ending is a bummer at this point. It is a pretty definitive ending at this point. But it's a bummer pretty much throughout. But I think, for these characters, again, if you're approaching it from a DC characters standpoint, if this was just, Taxi Driver the sequel kind of thing, which a lot of people, noted that the original Joker was basically Taxi Driver meets Kid Comedy, I think that could work in this thing. But if you're bringing it to this lens of the Joker, there's a certain element that you bring to that as Joker, a certain energy that I think when you lack it, it's noticeable, but it also noticeable in the way that it makes it not work as well, if that makes sense. So, maybe, again, I also acknowledge that Birds of Prey does not work entirely. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I feel that, for my money, I would much rather rewatch Birds of Prey than either of the Joker movies. So, again, take that for what it's worth. What did you think of Joker Folie Deux? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. So be sure to look for my next movie review, which, if the schedule holds, will be for Venom: The Last Dance, which comes out October 25th, I believe. As well as I've will be posting my review of Season 2 of Lord of the Rings of Power on my channel here soon. So be sure to look for that. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, I have seen it before.